Well, of course, we have to talk about Walter Gretzky. I knew Walter. I used to see him all the time at the banquets all the time. I never, you're up on the table, you never, hello, hello. And then I used to see him at the games all the time, the GTHL games. And he used to be there. And a guy's dead. You always say he's the greatest guy and all that. They're always the greatest guy. But he was. I mean, he'd be at the game. He'd sign autographs all night long. And you'd never know he was Wayne's father. I mean, he was he had time for everybody. He used to call everybody special, and I mean, he really did.
Was he the guy that he said that you should sign your autograph always in blue
Yeah,
Sharpie?
he was. He said Wayne's always signed it in blue. Why? I don't know why.
Well, because if it's black, you don't know if it's like mimeographed or
Right.
imprinted on it. But if it's blue,
I never thought of that. Yeah.
well, there you go.
Well, Gretzky's pretty smart.
He's smart. He's a professional.
He'd probably listen to his dad.
Walter told me.
And you know what? He signs his name. You can understand, Walter.
You can read it and you know what it says.
and you can Gretzky's Wayne Gretzky. You can understand too. You see some of them now.
Oh,
I mean, some of them. I just love it. And by the way, Hirsch is coming out. He's on Frozen Pond, and I asked him one day. I said, Hirsch. Was it Hirsch that told me that? No, I don't think. No. I know it was another guy who told me. Anyhow,
we were at a signing just last week with AJ's.
Yeah.
AJ's memorabilia and gave a big donation to the Don Cherry Pet Rescue Foundation.
Yeah. I hope we're doing pretty good in that. Anyhow, John Beliveau, and he used to sign his name, beautiful, John Beliveau. John Beliveau, and this guy, I won't say who it was. He was captain of the Leafs. He can guess who it was. He said, have you no pride in your name? Like a guy just scribbled. Did I ever tell you the story about Ty? Did I tell the story about Ty? I remember the girl's name. She was a young girl. She was dying. Her name was Catherine. And the runner come to me. Del, you used to be a runner, remember? Well, he used to, every time I'd see you, he was sitting. But anyhow.
Oh, nice.
No, everybody was sitting at the end.
Oh.
Anyhow, came to me a sweater. He said, this young girl's dying of cancer. Her name is Catherine. I never forgot her name. And
she wanted to be buried in the sweater.
In Ty Dommy's sweater.
Right.
I didn't know that, but I forgot that.
Yes, I remember the story well. Holy.
I forgot. So I sent it over, and it come back in a scribble.
So Ty signed it, but it was...
Before, and this is before a game. He signed it fast. The trainer got him to sign it.
He signs it the way. So, geez, I went over.
You were really
And
bad.
I said, I want to see Ty.
This is before a game.
The game. Let me see. I can't use a word. She's dying, and she wants to be buried in your sweater, and you shit. And you know what he did? Ty did. He went and he bought a real sweater at the pro shop.
That's
and
right.
signed it his name. I never forgot that. But you see the guy. I go to Hirsch, and I see.
Well, that's why they put their numbers. Most of them put their numbers now because you'd never know.
Never know who it is.
What the signage is.
Elliot Friedman, when he first started Hockey Night in Canada, he used to sign his name, Elliot Friedman. You could understand it. And I said to him, and then I saw his name scribbled, and I said, Elliot, can I ask you a question? I said, why you sign your name nicely and everybody could say it was Elliot Friedman. Why do you sign it? Just scribble it now like the rest of the guys. He says, oh, it's cool. Anyhow,
But
Waller was there, and he.
Well, you saw him a lot of times too at not only hockey. He was kind of big in lacrosse too.
Oh yeah, I have to tell a story about lacrosse. I shouldn't tell it because it was in the paper. Joe had it in. Joe Warmington. So anyhow, I can tell it anyhow. So I get a call, and they said, we'd like you to come to lacrosse game. Make lacrosse. I didn't know lacrosse that good. and the elite haven't got it and spoiled it yet. It's still
It's flying under the radar. As
yeah.
it is.
As soon as they
Hasn't
find
been,
out,
and what you're saying is hasn't been ruined yet.
it hasn't
The
been ruined
masses.
yet. They still tough, and the kids play they want to the way they want to play and everything.
Originally, how it was supposed to
Geez,
be
I
played.
see hockey on television now.
Well, we'll get on to Tom Wilson's suspension and everything. But
Yeah, we'll get back. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then Bonnie, we have to talk about Bonnie.
Yep.
So anyhow,
So you will go to lacrosse game with
I go to
Walter.
the lacrosse game. I get a call, come to the lacrosse game, and I says, okay. So I go to the lacrosse game, and I didn't know what to expect. So he said, we want you in the penalty box. So we go in and there's Walter. Walter Gretzky's there, and the very first time we really, I used to see him. So I said, so he knew about lacrosse. He loved lacrosse. He really did, and. So the little kids come out there about 10 years old, or they look like little army guy, boom, 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 boom. And they all come out together. They really look good. And boy, they're cross-checking one another. And I said to Walter, I said, holy smokes, Walter. I said, is it always this rough? Is this an exhibition game? No, there's nothing. So we're walking out after and signing autographs. We're walking out after. And this kid come out of the mouth of babes. And he says, and here's Walter Gretzky, and Wayne was in his heyday then. He's okay. Who's the greatest hockey player who ever lived, or something to that effect? Who's the best hockey player in the world ever? And Bobby Orr or Wayne Gretzky, and there's Walter standing beside me. So we were walking out. I'll never forget it. So I didn't know. I had to think fast. And I said, Well, I'll tell you, Wayne Gretzky is the greatest hockey player in the world playing today. So it was silence walking out, and Walter turned to me and said, Grapes, you'd make a good politician. Anyhow, he was a great guy.
Can I tell my story about lacrosse? And it might be edited out because the editor of this podcast is my son about lacrosse and Dell and Max playing.
Yeah.
Do you remember the time when, Dell, you must have been only like 5 or 6 years old. As I said, you might edit this out because you might be angry at me. So Dell and Max Domi were playing lacrosse. And so I said, Dad, why don't you come out to a game? So, of course, you sat with Ty and I sat with Leanne. And we were going, Dell, and you looked at Max out there, and he was like fast. Like he's runner like he is a skater. He's on his tippy toes running all over. Dell's not exactly the fastest person and runner and all that, right, Dell? I know you're going to get angry. So I said to Leanne, Leanne, and she goes, what? And I said, watching those two out there, I says, it's like watching a thoroughbred and a Clydesdale. Well, she hit me with her purse. You are awful and all that. Do you remember that, Dell? You were mad. I know.
Dell's a goalie.
He was a goalie. Yeah, and as you said, I don't know why you wouldn't play goalie.
Well, we'll leave that in. I'm sure Dell will leave it in. But
that's nice.
anyhow, we'll get...
So, but one thing I remember, too, is we had Walter Gretzky on the Grapevine show back in the mid-'80s, and a lot of people don't realize, and right now, that Wayne kind of had a tough time when he was young, and, because he was scoring like 10, 15 goals a game sometimes.
No, he did. I won't say it. I'll say it, is that the people on his club, and whether they believe it or not, or they used to criticize him. We used to call him a puck hog because he handled the puck.
Because he handled the puck.
Yeah, as he should.
And so there was and I think he had just written a book actually at that time. I think it was like around 84, 85. And we got a clip of when Wayne was young. If you see some shots of him when he was like 10 or 11, he had white gloves. So he wasn't, he kind of stuck out wearing these white gloves. And so we have Walter talking about how he got these white gloves.
Now, I know you don't like to say this, and it sounds like you're bragging, but at what age did you see that he had the special gift?
Well, I always answer that two ways. As far as a minor hockey player, you could tell when he was 4 and 5 years old that, he just had that little gift that you're talking about, and that he was going to be exceptional in minor hockey. But as you know yourself better than I do, that you don't know whether someone's going to be a professional player until they're 16, 17 years old, because so many things change.
But another thing too, it really got me too, and I really like this. You talk about, getting in there and don't care what, that's the way I am, is that you got them white gloves. Tell us about how you got the white gloves.
Well, that wasn't intentional.
No.
It was one of those practices that I think it was the first practice of the year, and Wayne didn't have any gloves, and I worked late that night, and we went over to the sports store, and Jerry was a good friend of ours, and I said, Jerry, I need a pair of gloves as fast as you can. I said, I only got 20 minutes to get him dressed, get him to the rink, get him on the ice. He said, I got just a pair for you. And he reached up, and I said, just put them right back, Jerry. I don't want no part of that. He said, no, he's got to try him on. He's got to try him on. Wayne says, yeah, they look nice, look nice. And so he put them on. He goes like this. He says, look how flexible they are. Look, because I always liked flexible equipment, especially for young kids. And we took the gloves, and that's where that white glove started.
Now,
You know, we had him on. You meet him at the rink. He was a good guy, and as hockey players, if you ask him about a guy and he says he's a good guy, he's a good guy.